In this episode, we talk about Pakenham East. Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Real Estate TV. I'm really excited to bring you this one. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Pakenham East, which is a brand new parcel of land that has been rezoned and now has a precinct structure plan and will be developed over the next 10 to 15 years. And there's 7,000 new homes in that zone. So what the council's done is rezoned some farmland. So at the moment it's all green pastures. You can drive out there and have a look. But it's all farmland. There's cows everywhere. And what's happening is sort of starting next year, some of the bigger developers, and I'm not sure if this is public knowledge, so I probably can't say it, so I won't say their names, but a couple of the bigger developers are going to start cutting up the land and subdividing it. So as I said, there's 7,000 lots within the precinct. So I should probably explain what a precinct structure plan is, or a PSP. What that is if you take a paddock, let's say that, well, this is 98 hectares of land, let's say, for the sake of the argument. It's all grass at the moment, and what the local council does, well, it's actually not the local council, it's the state government. What they do is they sit down with some urban planners and they draw where they want everything to be. So where they want the town centres, where they want the train stations, where they want the freeway on-ramps, and then they draw everything around that as well. So where they want the residential, where they want the commercial, where they want the childcare centres, blah, blah, blah. So a PSP is a plan that helps developers understand what the council wants, expects from them, and how the council wants the community to come to life. So that, by the way, is how projects are born. Private people, private companies buy paddocks and rezone them to the PSP. Now, there are some areas that aren't PSP'd, especially, if you live in Melbourne, down in San Remo is a really good example of an area that doesn't actually have a PSP. Actually, no, it does now. Never mind, ignore that last bit. But there are some areas that don't actually have a PSP, but you can subdivide. Smaller areas like parts of outer Frankston, Langwarrin, I know don't have a PSP, for example, but you can still subdivide them, and that's where you just have the flexibility to do whatever you want within the zoning laws that apply to the block. That said, there is now a PSP for Pakenham East, and starting next year, some of the bigger names are bringing some lots online. So 7,000 new homes over 15 years, which I think is a steady release of stock. That's 500 a year, which is good. I don't think that's too many at all. The concern with if they just dumped 7,000 lots on the market from day one, we'd have total, what we call market saturation. And the price would go from doing this just straight to the floor because there's an oversupply and not enough demand to keep up with that supply. So I think drip feeding 500 lots a year is a really good move, and I think it's a really, really cool opportunity as well because it is on the outskirts of Pakenham. It's east, and if you're not familiar with the geography of Melbourne, we're to the east of Melbourne, so we're going further away from the city, essentially. It's the far side of Pakenham in comparison to where the CBD is. That's really cool because it's on the outskirts. In theory, the land is going to be priced up cheaper because the commute time is longer. So it might be a really cool opportunity for a couple of first home buyers who are on a tighter budget to get a cheaper block. Now, my theory is pricing is going to be, officer, something like a 14 by 28, sits at $341,000. Now, 14 by 28 that's a very, very standard block size. That's typically what you can build a 3 to 4 bedroom home on, roughly 21 squares, that sort of deal. They're sitting at 341 in Officer at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if we see land in Pakenham East kissing the 290 to 300, just because it's so much further out. I think it's an extra 10 or 11 kilometers out of the city, which is not insignificant. That's a big part of travel time there. Yeah, so I think there might be an opportunity for a really good bargain for you. So if you are in the market, it's not something I usually say. I usually say buy straight away. Do your research into Pakenham East and find out when the projects are coming online. So there may be a really good opportunity for a bargain for you there, which is exciting. In terms of what's in the new PSP, there's a town centre. There aren't any train stations. I'll try and flash a graphic up for you in the edit. But if you have a look, the train station, or the train line actually doesn't run through the parcel of land. So there won't be any train stations. So if you buy more west of the PSP, you're going to be closer to the Pakenham station. Right on that Ryans Road boundary, you are going to be closer to the station, probably only less than a kilometre. Don't quote me on that. But there isn't one within, but that's okay. There's tons of access to the freeway. There'll be bus routes throughout. There'll be a new town centre in the municipality, and there's going to be 4 wetlands and a couple of other bits and pieces as well. So that's the officer. So the Pakenham East PSP. A little bit of a description of it. As projects start being rolled out, more information will be available of the flavour that the developers will carry out. I mean, what the council want is only half the story. The developers negotiating with the council and the developers having their own flexibility to create a story and a community around a project is a completely different story. So that might be something that I need to do a couple more episodes on, which is really exciting. We'll be able to do a couple more episodes as we know some more information. That said, we have been live on TikTok throughout the filming of this episode, and I asked the community to put in some questions, and I just had a look earlier and they've already put in some questions, which is a really exciting change from the last 2 episodes. So if you're watching on TikTok, I'm just going to check the questions now. Today's question comes from Nani9. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll write it down here for you. Go follow Nani9 on TikTok if you have TikTok. But today's question is, how much do you need to start with to buy a house? It's a bit of a difficult question to ask, to answer, to be honest with you. It really depends on where you're looking and what you're looking at. The basic answer is, I know that you can buy a block of land in Officer at the moment with a $10,000 deposit, and they have 2-year settlements on those. So I'd say that's probably the minimum that you'd be looking at. And no, you can't use the first homeowners grant towards your deposit. It's a question I get asked a fair bit. But other than that, it was just the one question for today, which is okay. I think we'll get a couple more questions coming in as we do more of these lives, which will be really good. But that is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Cool topic, I think. I'm very excited about Pakenham East and all the opportunities that it will bring, because it's new, so there'll be little pockets of arbitrage that not everyone knows about. So the smart investor will win, I think. Which is really exciting. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in episode 25 of Real Estate TV. See ya.